Hi Artsy One, welcome to Acrylic Painting for Beginners Part 2. I'm Alison May and I'm going to talk you through the basic equipment you need for acrylic painting. So I got really caught up with the painting process in Part 1 where I was working on the black and white acrylic portrait for you. But in this one, I'm going to break down the few essentials you need in your painting kit arsenal. I'll let you know about my advised paints to use, the palettes that I use and what I recommend, also which brushes that you will need, basics of a starting kit, and also the really important cleaning up. We need to be conscious to not damage the environment while we're creating. With the paints, I really recommend chroma acrylic. It's not the only student-based acrylic that you can get, but it's one that I find the quality, consistency, and price really great. When it comes to the palettes, there are so many choices, wooden, plastic. In this case, I use glass with a grey backing. You can also go to a $2 shop or an op shop and get a ceramic plate. The smooth surface is great for mixing, and it's even better for when you're cleaning up. Your brush kit, you only need 4. I use these 4 in the painting in Part 1. All of the brush fibers are synthetic. I used a large square brush, a medium-sized filbert brush, which is just square with the corners cut off. I used a smaller beveled brush, and for the smaller details, a simple round brush. That's it. That's your brush kit. This is really important to be aware of the environmental impact you may have. I rinse my brushes when I'm acrylic painting in water. Sits in a jar. I leave it for a few days. The acrylic sediment sits down to the bottom and I can tip out the cleaner water on top, then scrape out the sediment at the very bottom and put in my general waste bin. With the palette, the paint here is dried and I just use a palette knife to scrape off all the bits, which then go into my waste bin as well. If I don't have a palette knife, I can use the back of my nail, but I don't recommend that as a common act. You don't want to get your hands too close to the painting chemicals. If, unlike me, you didn't allow your paint to dry, it's way easier to clean up. Grab your palette knife, scoop it up, wipe it onto your rag, and once that's dry, it can go into your rubbish bin. Next, grab a little piece of rag, dip it into some water. Even your brush cleaning water is fine. Just mop up the rest of the paint on your plate. To clean it up properly, another dip with some clean water, and that wipes off pretty clean. Please never wash your paints down the sink. Paint particles can't be separated if they're not dry, which is why I use old rags to clean up my paints. They end up in landfill, but that is far better than wet paint ended up in our water systems, which cannot be filtered. And that, Artsy One, is the basic essential kit you need as a beginner artist. You don't need to spend a lot of time nor money to start creating. I hope that has answered your question and given you the confidence to get out there and start painting. If you have any other questions or comments, leave them below. You will also find a link to Part 1 of Acrylic Painting for Beginners. Look forward to creating with you soon.